Okay, it's Sunday here, and you're probably thinking that you're going to do a video here and working on your 58 Ford. Everyone wants to see my 58 Ford. My 58 Ford, I know I've been saying it for months. Trust me, it is coming. It is coming in here. We're going to be doing a video. It is very, very close. Just because you haven't seen the car doesn't mean I haven't been buying parts for it. I've been buying exhaust, gas tank. I've been buying all sorts of shit for it, so I can just get it in here. When I get it in here, I can just go to town on it. But if you notice in the background, sitting behind me is Big Red. Big Red is in the shop, and that's very rare for Big Red to be in the shop. Big Red has been a good workhorse for me. I use this truck for everything, hauling, towing, everything. It's one of these, everyone needs a truck where you look after it running wise, but body wise it takes a beating, you don't give a shit. And I've been feeling bad for Big Red lately, because the truck itself is a solid truck. I've gone through it from top to bottom. The only rust in it is both rocker panels, and the doors are starting to rust. And I'll show you how bad the driver's side door is. Now the driver's side door is off, and if we come down here and we zoom in here, if I can figure out how to do that, right there. Typical. You can see it's all rotten. So what I did was I had gone, and I'm not much of an aftermarket fan, I had gone and I picked up another couple doors for this truck that are absolutely rust-free. They are mint. The problem is somebody cut big fucking speaker holes down inside the doors, which is a typical thing, but whatever. I can cover that up or throw some speakers back in it. I really don't care. This is not a show truck, it's a work truck. But you can see this door, how it was rotten outside. Now, it doesn't look all that bad from the outside, but you saw the inside, and I don't know if you can see this, but look at that. The skin's just busted right off. Look at this, actually. The skin's broke right in half. It's not worth it for me to try and fix this door. Like I say, I found two really good doors. So what I'm trying to do here today on Big Red, we'll take a look at her. Now, Big Red, the hood is perfect. The fenders are perfect. Like I say, here's the passenger side door. Now the passenger side is nowhere near as bad as the driver's side, but you can see the rust in the scales starting on it. And you can also see it's got a big hole in the rocker panel there. The box actually is rust free, which is unnormal, but it's got dents in it, but it's solid. There's no rust in the box on this side. And the floor is good. Like I say, the cab mounts are good. I went through it. So I took the driver's side door, the new one that I bought, and I cleaned it up and I gave it, let me just turn around. I cleaned it up. Dave just went through it and sanded it for me and prepped it for me, and I painted it myself. And I painted it here in the shop. I just gave it 2 coats of paint. I didn't get carried away, because my whole plan on this truck, what I'm doing is I'm going to change out the doors and change the rockers out and drive it. And then when I get a chance in a couple months, like June or July, I'm going to sand the whole truck down when I can take it off the road just for a week and repaint it. I'm not going to get into blocking this truck or nothing like that. Dave and I are just going to go at it together, and we're just going to machine it out good enough. There we go, a fresh paint job. Because it's been a good truck, and it's starting to get rusty, and I want to take care of it, because as you guys all know, when these old trucks in the 70s start to rust, they go, and they go quick. Now, if you remember in past videos, I showed you Big Red before. I put a 350 in it with 350 horse, and that's true. It's all cammed up. You've heard it. Brand new tranny, brand new diff, all new brakes, new steering box. I've gone through this truck. Running gear, this truck is done. I bought the truck off the second original owner down in Ladner, British Columbia. He bought it off a farmer. This is the guy I bought it off a farmer. The farmer bought it new and always kept it in a barn. So that's one main reason Big Red's always stayed in good shape. And then of course I got Big Red and used it for hauling and drove it all the time in the winter and the salt and the snow. And what happens? It got rusty. So we'll show you where we're at today. So I cut the outer rocker off, and of course, wouldn't you fucking know it, the inner rocker's gone too. So here's where Big Red is sitting today on a Sunday. You can see the whole inner rocker. I've cut it off now. I went up into the floors. I kind of went up under the matting. It only went into the floor a little bit. Luckily, the rust, it stopped along here. Here's still a piece of the old rocker I haven't cut off. So my goal today, Sunday, my goal, get the inner and outer rocker on the truck, get the little bit of body work done where the rockers attach up in here, get that little bit of body work done and paint that today. Then Monday, throw the door on it, because Tuesday I need this truck to be back on the road for hauling shit. So that's where we're at right now. So this is what I'm doing on my Sunday. So I'll quickly throw some little video shots in here as I go along, and you guys can see what's going on. So we'll be right back. Okay, so here's all the shit, guys, that's been getting cut off. Here's the original first piece of the inner rocker that I cut off, and there's been hunks and pieces falling everywhere. There's the outer rocker laying there, obviously. So what I've done on this now is I just made up my own back of my rocker. It's not a big deal. It basically is just a flat piece of metal. It's 4 inches high. it had a bit of a lip. Like I say, I had to make a second piece up here with a bend on it because it started to rust into the cab floor. But luckily it stopped there, didn't get to the mounts or nothing, so I was able to take care of that with a patch. Now I'm not, I'm not getting overly carried away. This is still my work truck, but I mean, I want to cut the rust out of it and make it so at least it's going to last me for another few more years. Now, at the back of these trucks in 1972, that was the last design of that body style. Then this body style came out in 73. Now what they do here is, if you see this piece, you're probably like, what the fuck is that piece doing bent up like that? On these rocker panels, when they go on, believe it or not, I think it has to do with the gas tank just getting access. I'm not certain. But they leave the back of the rocker, which I got laying right here. Let me show this to you. So here's the rocker panel, and it normally would go up on the vehicle like so, obviously. And you're seeing this back half where that bend is, and then there's nothing. Well, on these trucks from factory, if you go in behind them, at the back of the rocker, if you were to go underneath your truck, if you have one of these 73 and up Chevy GMC pickups, they leave this open. It's not closed off. And what happens is this bent piece that you see right here, it fits in this area. It fits in this, sorry guys for the shitty filming. It fits with inside of here, welds to in here. So basically from this point forward, this is closed off on the rocker, but the back half is open. Now what I'm going to do, which I typically do, is on the rocker panel, I'm going to drill a little hole down in here, a little hole back here, and probably one here. I just do it so if any water, any kind of shit gets up in there, at least it's got an access where it can drip out, it can get some air, it can ventilate, stop some of the shit from getting in there. Plus I can get my air nozzle in there every now and again and try and blow it around a bit if I want. Now, these rockers, when you buy them, they come a lot longer than this. They come all the way up into the doorpost, and they wrap right around. So really, you got to have the fender unbolted to get in behind there. And they come quite high at the back here, too. So what I've done is I've cut this one down. Reasoning for that is, you can see, I've ground the truck down here. It is good, solid metal. Again, it's my work truck. I don't have time to start pulling the fenders off and welding it up into here where it should be and getting all the way around and behind here. I'm going to cut it here. Then I came down. You can see I've come down on an angle here so I can butt weld it along in here so I don't have to pull the fender. Same as the back. If you look at the back, easily I can butt weld it here. This is part of the old rocker right here, believe it or not, because you can see the definition between the cab corner and the old rocker. It is good and solid. I've cut the new rocker back. I'm going to butt weld it here just because I don't want to start getting into all this kind of bullshit, headaches and games. This is not a show vehicle. This is not a show truck. This is my work truck. So when you do buy these rockers, they do come longer. They normally tie up into this area a little bit higher. They tie in behind here and all that kind of bullshit. But like I say, we're not getting that carried away with this truck. But it's still fixed. It's fixed properly. If it was rusted out anywhere beyond this and obviously back in this corner, I would have to go further. And then I would. But it's not. It's solid. And I was lucky that way. So our next step, you can see I've got some lines drawn on there. And I got one drawn on here. Because even though I cut this rocker down, let me get this on here. I am not going to... There we go. There we go. It's slipped on, see? But see the line? Because I'm going to butt weld it. I am not going to overlap it. Same as here. I've already cut it down. It's ready to be butt welded. I'm not going to overlap this. I'm going to put it on so it is proper. Same as up in here. That's why the line's here. I got to cut this off, that piece there, and then it will all be butt welded. So there'll be no overlapping, which basically is not two pieces of metal jammed together so moisture can get in there. So our next step, take this off. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to put some of my weld-through primer on here. Then I'm going to texture spray it. But I'm going to mask it, before I texture spray it, I'm going to mask it maybe just 1/4 of an inch along here to 1/2 inch along here. Because there's no point me texture spraying here after I put the weld-through primer on. Because it's just going to catch the texture spray on fire and burn it off. So like I say, I'll put my weld-through primer on this whole thing after I scuff it up a bit, get it rougher so it can grab, it can penetrate. Then I'll leave it dry for the 20 minutes or so. I'll probably mask it the width of this lip right here, which looks to me like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I'll mask it here. This will still stay texture spray on the inside. This will be the weld-through primer here because it is going to butt up. If we look at this, see the lip? Well, this piece of metal right here fits right into this lip. So I'm going to grind this down in here, and I'm going to put the weld through primer in here too. And then, obviously I got to drill a few holes in here, and I'm going to go underneath the truck and I'm going to spot weld it onto this piece. So that's what I'm doing there. Hopefully you understand where I'm at. So I'll get this cleaned up, I'll get this texture sprayed, and then sprayed with the, I'll get the weld through primer on, then the texture spray, and I'll show you exactly what I mean before I weld it on. Okay, so I scuffed it down there with some 80 grit sandpaper, not that you're really going to see it, and I put on, here we go right here, I'm using this, it's made by Dominion Sure Seal, and it is, where is it? There's a zinc weld through coating. I'm just trying to see if I can find a part number for any people there. There's the code right there. You can see it plain as day right on the screen. So that's what I'm putting on first. Now, this is pretty much probably almost dry. I'm going to mask it off, like I said. I'm going to mask it off from the width of that lip. That's probably 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And then I'm going to do my texture spray next. So we'll get that going next. Okay, the next step is done. As you can see, I've pre-drilled some holes. This is where I'm going to come from the back side, and I'm going to spot weld it on to our inner lip on our rocker. So I pre-drilled the holes there. You can see I masked it off where the weld through primer is. I've used my texture spray up top. Now I didn't put any texture spray up in here because this is going to be showing, and we're going to do some body work on that, and that's going to get painted. So that's all okay. That's not tucked away hidden. What am I using? Right there, I am using Proform rubberized gravel guard, and there we go, and it's paintable black. This is just something I had laying around the shop. Sometimes I might have used something different, but this was laying around. I'm just going to use it. It's a 1/2 can. It's going to work, and it's going to solve the problem for now. So that's it. So our next step is to obviously take our rocker, get it up in place, cut off the excess that I showed you on either ends, then start butt welding it on, and away you go. That is it. So we will be back when we get to this point. I've got the rocker panel on. Now, as you can see, like I said, I cut it back and I butt welded it in here. So you can see very nicely. I still got to do a little weld here. I'm just showing you guys as we're going along. So it's butt welded in there. It's good. It's solid. Ran it down here. Like I said, the old rocker was still good. So I just went right onto the old rocker because I didn't want to start playing around in here. These cab corners are all good. You can probably see the spots in behind. That's where I spot welded it from the inner rocker to the outer rocker. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in the video, I forgot to tell you guys that when these rockers go on, if you look back in this video here, you'd see the floor sticks out quite a ways, comes out to around here. That's because you drill holes in this rocker and it spot welds down on top of there. If you don't do that, well, then it's gonna be loose up in here. I mean, the rocker would never come off, but you gotta do that. So I didn't do a lot. What do we got here? We got 2, 4, 6, 8. We got like 9 spot welds across in this area. And again here, I cut it back and I butt welded it in. So I'm just gonna do a little rough, I'm gonna tidy up the welding where I got to. This is where I also showed you, I came along here, went and came down here. Because normally these wrap inside behind here, which means you have to remove the fender. And of course the hood hinge is on the fender. So that means the hood hinge got to come off, which means the hood's got to be propped up with a bar or something. Pull the fender off, or at least try and pull the fender out. My truck is solid behind here. Wasn't going to get into that bullshit. Luckily I was solid. I didn't have to do it that way. Now some of you other guys that you got your trucks, you're doing a frame off restoration, obviously do it proper. Go all the way in and around like you should. If you're doing it at home yourself and your truck's just got a rotten rocker like down in here and you don't want to start pulling the whole thing apart, if it's good and solid here, do what I did. Just cut the new rocker to fit where your solid metal is, and away you go. So there we are, the rocker's on, and of course the same thing, you know, it's basically, you know, you do your spot welds like I said, so same thing down there, I welded it there. So now I'm going to tidy up a couple of the welds along here, and then I'm going to start with the body work. I'm not going to get too carried away in here. I'm just going to give it one coat of Duraglass, which is a short strand fiberglass, just in these areas, and I'm just going to put a light coat of body filler over top of that once I sand it down, and that's it. That is it. Bob is your uncle, or as Dr. Dave would say, Bob is his brother. And that is all I'm going to do, because this is not a show truck. It's just a good old workhorse. But the nice thing is we got a good solid rocker, solid in behind, solid there. There we go. Big Red is going to be happy now. So there's a view of it right there. So we'll get back to you. I'll show you a picture when we get it all done and finished. As you can see here, it's in gray primer. I did the little bit of body work that it needed up and along here and in here. So the body work is all done up in these areas here. Now all I'm going to do now is I've washed it down with my final wipe, so it's ready to paint. threw a little masking paper on the edges here. Didn't get too fancy. I'm just going to paint this with my touch-up gun. Just a little bit. Because like I explained to you at the beginning, I'm taking care of the rust right now. But then in around a month or two, we're going to sand the whole truck down and repaint it. So I'm not going to get too fancy by loading a lot of paint on here. Normally I put 3 coats on. I'm just going to give it 2 light coats just so it seals it up until I can get to doing the truck properly, and that'll be good enough for now. So there we go, the rocker's all on, she's ready to go. We'll throw some paint on it and we will show you the finished product here. Okay guys, and there you have it. There's my finished rocker panel. Now I only gave it 2 coats of paint. I did give it 3 coats on the inside because I won't be redoing that, but the outside I only gave it 2 coats of paint. As I was saying, I've got a way better door. Look at this door. Absolutely, it's not aftermarket, it's an original door I found. All the corners are good, but unfortunately, look what somebody did. Look at the hole in that thing. Man, the guy that rode in this vehicle must have been deaf or something to put speakers or even subwoofers that big in there. You can see all that insulation shit I got to dig out of there. Now, I'm not going to weld this up. All I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the full door panels on that come all the way down that cover this all the way in here. Like I said, it's just a work truck. So I'm going to put the full panel on. I'm going to leave the hole. I'm not getting that carried away. But at least the door and the rocker now is rust free. The inner rocker is done. The door looks good. And here we go. Well, there we go. Now you can see quite the difference. Look at how much this truck is faded. I know that this looks orange to a lot of you guys, but if you look it up, 1976 GMC pickup, this is actually called Crimson Red. It's almost like a hugger orange in the sun. You can see just how bright it is. Now, obviously, like I said, the door is only 2 coats of paint. I just painted that myself right here in the shop. The only reason I only gave it 2 coats is, like I was saying, the whole truck, I'm going to fix the rust like this and just give it a couple coats of paint, go around the whole truck, and then when the time comes, I'll sand the whole truck down, Dave and I will together, and then I'll repaint the whole truck all at once. So there was no point wasting a lot of paint and doing the door, you know, with 3 or 4 coats. Just single stage is all I'm using. Usually 3 coats is plenty to get away with, but that's it. So Big Red is happy. It's got a new rocker, it's got a rust-free door, things are looking good. And that's it till next time. So we won't be doing any more work on this truck and probably till another month. I'll probably bring it in and I'll do the passenger side door and the other rocker on that side. And then about the only rust I got left on this truck after that, as you can see, this is the only rust left right around the box area. Just on this one side only. And I bought the patch for that too. So that's it, guys. So hey, thanks for subscribing. And well, have a good time. Just like Old Time says, it's always a good time at Old Time, and you guys have a good time too. Get out in that shop, build yourself something, get her done. See you later.